I used to believe that dreams were harmless, strange, emotional, sometimes disturbing, but always temporary. You wake up, shake it off, and the world returns to normal. That belief ended on a cold November morning in the United States when I woke up in my small apartment in Ohio, already exhausted, already afraid, because part of me knew the dream hadn't stayed behind. I'm not someone who scares easily. I'm 32, work as an insurance claims adjuster, live alone, and keep a pretty predictable routine. I don't drink much, I don't use drugs, I sleep at the same time every night. That's why what happened still bothers me. There was no obvious reason for my mind to break the rules. The dream began like a memory. I was standing in my childhood home in rural Pennsylvania. Everything looked normal at first. The faded green wallpaper, the old carpet that always smelled faintly of dust, the creaking floorboards. I could hear a television playing somewhere, a low murmur of voices and canned laughter. The light outside the windows was gray, like late afternoon in winter. What felt wrong was the silence underneath it all, the kind of silence that presses on your ears, as if the house itself is holding its breath. I tried to move, but my feet wouldn't respond. I looked down and realized I wasn't standing, I was barefoot, sitting on the hallway floor. My legs were stretched out in front of me, pale and thin, like they didn't belong to me anymore. Then I heard breathing. It was slow and uneven, coming from the end of the hallway where my parents' bedroom used to be. Each breath sounded wet, like air passing through something damaged. I told myself it was just part of the dream, that fear was inventing details, but my heart started pounding so hard I felt it in my throat. "Hello?" I called out. My voice came out wrong, too quiet, almost swallowed by the air. The breathing stopped. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the bedroom door creaked open. Something stood in the doorway. I don't like describing it because every time I do, I remember the feeling more than the image. It was shaped like a man, tall and hunched, but its proportions were off. Its arms were too long, its head tilted at an angle that made my neck ache just looking at it. The skin looked stretched tight, grayish, like it had forgotten how to be alive. It didn't have eyes. There were empty sunken sockets where eyes should have been, but I knew somehow that it could see me. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. The thing took one step forward. The floorboards groaned beneath its weight. Then another step. Each movement was slow and deliberate, like it wanted me to understand that it wasn't in a hurry. That's when I realized I recognized it. Not from real life, from another dream. A dream I'd had years ago. The memory hit me all at once. I was 16 again, waking up drenched in sweat after dreaming of something standing in the hallway of my childhood home, watching me sleep. I had dismissed it back then, just a nightmare, nothing special. But this thing hadn't forgotten me. It opened its mouth. Inside was only darkness, deeper than the shadows around it. When it spoke, the sound didn't come through the air, it came through my chest. "You finally noticed," it said. I woke up screaming. My alarm clock was blaring. Morning light spilled through my apartment window. I was lying in my own bed, sheets twisted around my legs, heart racing like I'd run miles. For a moment, I felt relieved. Just a dream. A bad one, sure, but still just a dream. Then I smelled dust. The exact same dusty, stale smell from my childhood hallway. I sat up quickly, scanning the room. Everything looked normal. My dresser, my closet door, the half-empty glass of water on my nightstand. But the smell lingered, faint but unmistakable. I didn't go back to sleep. That day at work, I couldn't focus. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those empty sockets. I spilled coffee on my keyboard. I reread emails 3 times without understanding them. My coworkers asked if I was sick. I told them I hadn't slept well. That night, I tried everything to avoid dreaming. I left the lights on, I played music, I watched TV until my eyes burned. When I finally fell asleep, the dream was already waiting. This time, I was in my apartment. Everything was exactly the same. The furniture, the lighting, even the sound of traffic outside. I stood in the living room, holding my phone, scrolling through messages. It felt real enough that I didn't question it at first. Then I noticed the hallway. It was longer than it should have been. My apartment hallway is short, 5 steps from the living room to the bedroom. In the dream, it stretched impossibly far, fading into darkness. The walls pulsed slightly, as if breathing. I knew what was at the end. I backed away, but my body moved in slow motion, like I was underwater. The lights flickered. The smell of dust returned, stronger now. The breathing started again. I woke up before I saw it, gasping for air. This became the pattern. Every night, the dream continued where it left off. The thing never rushed, it never attacked me, it just came closer. The setting changed, my apartment, my office, a grocery store parking lot, but the hallway always appeared, and it was always watching. Soon, the dream started bleeding into my waking life. I would catch movement in the corner of my eye, hear breathing when I was alone. Once, while brushing my teeth, I looked into the mirror and for a split second saw empty sockets staring back at me. I stopped sleeping. After 4 days, I was barely functional. My hands shook constantly. I made mistakes at work I'd never made before. My manager suggested I take time off. On the 5th night, I didn't dream. I thought maybe it was over. Then I realized I was still asleep. I was lying in my bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to move. Sleep paralysis. I read about it before. Hallucinations, fear, pressure on the chest. The breathing was right next to me. I tried to move my head. I couldn't. My eyes slid towards the doorway. It stood there, taller than ever, nearly touching the ceiling. Its head scraped lightly against the plaster as it leaned in. "You're awake now," it said. A long, thin hand reached out and rested on my chest. It was cold, impossibly heavy. I felt something inside me shift, like a door opening that should have stayed locked. I woke up for real, screaming so loud my neighbor banged on the wall. After that, I stopped fighting it. I understood something then. The dreams weren't random, they were reminders. This thing wasn't invading my sleep, it had always been there, watching, waiting for me to notice. The last dream happened a week later. There was no hallway, no buildup. I was standing in my apartment, wide awake, when I felt breathing behind me. I didn't turn around. "You don't need to hide anymore," it said softly. I still don't know if I'm awake now. I sleep, I work, I talk to people, but sometimes when the lights go out and the world gets quiet, I feel that heavy presence behind my eyes. Dreams don't always end when you wake up. Sometimes they wake up with you.